Ukraine. Well, joining me now is Mr. Bohdan Nahaylo. He's a senior journalist of the Kyiv Post. He's currently in Barcelona. What is the view looking like from what's happening in your home country, Mr. Nahaylo, especially from Europe? We've heard the strong words there by the British Prime Minister, but we've seen other countries, notably China and India, calling for restraint on all sides.
Well, that's understandable. You know, Ukraine is far away from India, and unless you have business interests there, it's not of primary concern. And for China, it should be, because it's building its Silk Route to the west, and Ukraine is an important staging area in this. So it should be interested in the economic implications if there is mass-scale destruction. Look, even here in Barcelona, where I've evacuated myself to, I'm the chief editor of the Kyiv Post, there's a lot of concern. The newspapers, the Spanish and Catalan newspapers, are full of this story of the potential for war. In Ukraine itself, look, we've been at war for 8 years with Russia. It's not. Let me also commend you on a very balanced presentation of the situation. I was very impressed listening to how you portrayed to your audience what is going on. But these are not insurgents. You know, Russia took from Ukraine Crimea, disguising their soldiers as little green men. They used some locals, but essentially their own Russian troops that they've kept in place, denying that these are Russian troops, only now coming out with the fact that they're sending peacekeepers, legitimizing their presence there. So we have an aggressive neighbor, still very imperialistic in its mindset. I mean, imagine if Britain was to say to you today, Indians, look, give us a chunk of India, because, you know, they're English speakers there, and they feel uncomfortable because you have different languages and you're not paying sufficient attention. You know, it's nonsense in the 21st century that we're living in. Sometimes I'm confused with all that's happening. And the important fact is that they are behaving like 19th century imperialists.
In fact, it's interesting, because how much do you think this is really driven by the vision of one man? I'm saying vision, but perhaps this, I would describe it differently, not as a vision, but of the old Soviet Union, of going back to creating this larger Russia, which he believed is what it should have been. He's of course often criticized the breakup of the former Soviet Union, Vladimir Putin.
You put your finger on it. I mean, people talk about, you know, sort of Russia being threatened by NATO, that they just want equality with the West, etc. This is nonsense. Putin is very much like Hitler. Nobody took Hitler too seriously, unless you were Jewish or a political prisoner under the Nazis, until he started carving up his neighbors. And we saw what happened in 1938 in Munich, when the British Prime Minister Chamberlain and the French caved in and through appeasement thought they could buy him off. The Russians, the Soviets did the same. They signed a Nazi-Soviet non-aggression pact the following year, and 2 years later the Soviet Union was invaded by the Nazis. Today we have somebody who wants to go down in history as a restorer of empire. He's after restoring Russia's greatness. But these are not those times. Russia could be great. You talked about individuals. When the Soviet Union collapsed, there was a decent Russian leader, Boris Yeltsin, who spoke about a democratic Europe from Ireland to Vladivostok. Right. There was nothing stopping Russia from becoming a member of NATO, or even agreeing that NATO be disbanded, but creating some new economic and security alliance or system. But this man, first of all, Putin, first of all, he clamped down hard on the Chechens within Russia itself in a very bloody war, blowing up buildings as pretext for the attacks. Right. Killing his dissident opponents in various countries outside. And now, you know, using this non-starter of Russian speakers being threatened. Look, in Ukraine, we have a president from a Jewish background, a Russian speaker, elected by 73% of the population. There's no threat there to Russian speakers, the South and the East.
We'll be looking now at really at what the United States announces tonight. But I think that point you made, really, that India taking a very different view of what we are seeing here as perhaps what Western countries are looking at. India making sure that it's going to maintain its independence on how it actually reacts to this crisis. Let's see how that develops. Thank you so much for joining me at what are extremely difficult times for your country. Thank you very much.